Foremost among those relics used by the Buddha is the original Aswatha tree on the banks of river Niranjana in the Gaya region, which later became the sacred Bodhi tree. Emperor Dharmasoka of India made arrangements to send his daughter, Nun Sangamita, to Sri Lanka in 249 BC, bearing the right branch of this sacred tree. One cannot find a more sacred event in the whole of Sri Lanka's Buddhist history. The great King Devanampiatissa went to meet her to the port of Dambakola in the northern shore of Sri Lanka. He had the golden bowl with the bow sapling placed on his head and took it to the special pavilion built for it. He offered the kingdom of Sri Lanka to the sacred Bodhi tree. Dressed as a sentinel, he kept vigil at the gate. This is described in Mahavamsa, the historical chronicle of Sri Lanka, with tremendous enthusiasm and deference. After the attainment of supreme enlightenment, the Buddha sat at the foot of the sacred Bodhi tree without disturbing his seated posture. He spent the first week after enlightenment in that manner, dwelling in the state of trance he had achieved. In the second week, he stayed at the northeast of the sacred Bodhi tree, gazing in gratitude. He spent the third week walking between the Bodhi tree and the spot from which he contemplated the sacred tree. In the fourth week, he created a jeweled house to the northwest of the Bodhi tree and dwelt there, contemplating the enlightenment he had achieved. In the fifth week, he sat under Ajapala banyan tree. There he defeated the three daughters of Mara, Tanha, Rati, and Ranga. He kept the Dhamma he had realized as his guidance. He spent the sixth week within the coils of the serpent king Muchalinda. The Buddha preached that those of high moral behavior can live anywhere happily. The Buddha fasted until the seventh week. He accepted the honey and popped rice offered to him by the two merchant brothers, Tapassu and Balluka. The three visits of the Buddha to Sri Lanka are very well known in the folklore of Sri Lanka. The arrival of the sacred Bodhi tree is living confirmation of those ancient stories of the building of Mahayangana Mahastupa, the construction of Nagadipa, and the placement of the sacred footprint at the invitation of the provincial ruler, God Saman, during the Buddha's visit to Kalani. The king donated the Maha Meghavana Park to the Sangha. The sapling of the Bodhi tree was planted there during the astral moment, Rehana. The Buddha had stated that the Bodhi tree is a symbol that stood for him and was also the foremost among the 7 objects that came into being along with his birth. The sacred Bodhi tree is considered a deity. Thus, the planting of the Bodhi tree has been a very special event for Sri Lanka. When the sacred Bodhi sapling was being brought to Anuradapura, it was placed for one day at the gate of the village of the Brahmin leader Tivakka. This created a controversy about a Brahmin who worshipped the Bodhi tree. Bodhi Vansa states that at the gate of the Tivakka Brahmin village, modern Tantrimalaya, a Buddha statue was carved in stone, and that one of the 8 saplings of the sacred Bodhi tree was planted on top of a rock at the gate of that village. Today, too, that Bodhi tree can be seen existing safely. It is stated that another sapling was planted at Dambakola Patuna, or Kankasanture, where the sacred Bodhi tree was brought ashore. Yet another of the 8 sapling was planted in the courtyard of Thuparama Vihara. But as the road was built across the courtyard of the stupa, the Bodhi tree was separated from the courtyard. Today, that sapling flourishes safely in the premises of the residence of nuns who descend from Nun Sangamitta. One of the 8 saplings was planted at Isrumunia for the adoration of aristocrats and wealthy people who were ordained monks by Arhat Mainda. Yet another sapling was planted at Padmakachetya. Today, this is known as Nivantakachetya. The birthplace of Sri Lanka's Sinhala Buddhist culture is Mihintale. A bow sapling was planted here. 2 saplings of the Bodhi tree were planted in the premises of Kirivera in Kataragama and the village of Chandanagama. The 32 saplings that arose from the 8 Bodhi trees have been planted in the 8 directions of the island. In the premises where the sacred Bodhi tree is planted, there are 5 terraces in ascending order. These 5 terraces are Velimalua, the sandy courtyard; Viharamalua, the stupa courtyard; Devalamalua, the deity courtyard; Udamalua, the upper courtyard; Ranvatamalua, the golden railing courtyard. The deity courtyard is especially dedicated to the Bodhikupta Kalavela, who is the guardian of the sacred Bodhi tree. He is considered to be God Vishnu, the protective god of the Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree is believed to be the sacred symbol Om. This is a synthesis of theology. In the golden railing courtyard where the sacred Bodhi tree is situated, the saplings of the sacred trees under which other 3 Buddhas sat, namely Sirya Bodhi, Udumbara Bodhi, and Banyan Bodhi, had been planted in this same manner in ancient days. Buddhists believe that the Buddha entered into a trance at this spot. Kings took various measures to protect the sacred Bodhi tree situated 21 feet above the ground from strong winds, from bright sunshine, and from rain. 3 Bodhi trees had been planted in the upper courtyard, and 38 Bodhi trees in the remaining spaces. There are 41 protective Bodhi trees, reminiscent of the monks who meditated in the cells around the fragrant chamber of the Buddha at the Jetavana monastery. The rectangular protective wall, which is seen even today, is 330 feet long, 274 feet wide, 10 feet tall, and 5 feet thick. This was built to protect the sacred Bodhi tree from elephants by Ilupaldini Attadasimatero in the days of King Sri Vikramaraja Singha. Emperor Dharmasoka sent along with Nun Sangamitta 8 water-sprinkling vessels to sprinkle water on the Bodhi sapling after it was planted, and royal princesses called attendant queens to look after the Bodhi tree. These queens resided in the royal palace and went quite early in the morning to sprinkle water on the sacred Bodhi tree. This routine was topped by King Dhatusena. Due to the controversies between the then well-known Mahavihara and Abhayagiri, because of the activities of King Dhatusena due to the invasion of those aggressive kings Chola, Magha and Chera, and also because of internal dissensions, the Anuradapura kingdom deteriorated and the city became desolate. Some monks went to foreign lands, taking the religious books and the statues they had protected like their lives. But amidst all this, those families that guarded the sacred Bodhi tree spent a harsh life, lighting bonfires throughout the night to protect the Bodhi tree, which was the noble symbol of the Buddha for Buddhist devotees and the monks who looked after it, from the wild elephants that roamed freely in the kingdom that had been overrun by the wilderness. Had it not been for that, only the village of Anuradha would have remained bereft of all its ancient characteristics. This can be said because the history of the pre-Christian era and the early Christian era are confirmed to be buried under several layers of earth.
Anuradapura pujaniya nagaraya bawata pathune Vijayasri Jayasri Maha Bodhi Vahanse Anuradapura ropane kiremen anaturu bawa විශේෂයෙන්ම කිය යුතුයි. මිරිසවැටි දාගැබ් වහන්සේ, ලෝවා මහාපාය, රුවන්වැලි මහාසෑය ආදී.
It must be stressed here that Anuradapura really became a holy city only after the sacred Bodhi tree was planted there. There is no doubt whatsoever that it was only after the planting of the sacred Bodhi tree in Anuradapura that Buddhism spread widely in Sri Lanka, and especially that the city of Anuradapura became a sacred sanctuary. Massive stupas were built and ancillary Bodhi trees were planted in the wake of that central event.
The people of the world still have the good fortune to see such grand works of creative art as the 8 sacred sites built with the sacred Bodhi tree as the focus. Among them are the Thuparame, Lova Mapaya, Mirsavatiya, Ruwanveli Saya, Jetavanarame, Abhegiriya and Lankarame. The world-famous Samadhi Tram statue of the Buddha and the moonstone can also be seen today. The families responsible for the protection of the sacred Bodhi tree were granted lands to live. These clans continue to perform their duties with the exception of those in the monastery lands of Vihara Ilappukulama, Vihara Kappatiyava, Vihara Pusyankulama, Vihara Nadavachya, Vihara Palamugama, Vihara Halmillakulama, Vihara Pallanchya, Vihara Bulankulama, and Vihara Thirappane. All other clans migrated to various parts of the country with the change of rulers. The duties that were ordered by ancient kings are now being regulated by the chief prelate of Attamastane, the 8 sacred sites. Those village leaders who assemble in the house of Madhuraya, the chief official, in terms of the orders of the chief prelate, have monthly meetings to assign the duties that have to be performed for the protection and the adoration of the sacred Bodhi tree. As assigned by Madhuraya, 2 persons from each village are deployed for day and night guard duty and other services. pre-dawn ritual, the chief incumbent of each of the 8 temples, our resident monks, enter the vihara in order of seniority, led by the chief prelate of the 8 temples. Before the drum tattoo for the morning service, the faded flowers remaining from the offerings made in the previous evening are cleared. The altar is bathed in scented water, and fresh flowers are offered. After all this, the devotees get the opportunity to make the morning offerings to the Buddha. All the rites and rituals for the sacred Bodhi tree in the upper courtyard are performed to remind the moment the Buddha sat at the foot of the Bodhi tree. The upper courtyard is cleansed, swept according to a pattern. The ground is prepared, and flowers are offered to the sacred Bodhi tree. After these, the 16 great offerings are made, including robes. After the daily rites and rituals, the bhikkhus who remain in the golden railing terrace recite pirit, or protective chants, to invoke blessings on the country, on the world, and on the people. The Sinhala Buddhists, who inherit a cultural tradition adapted to an agricultural lifestyle from the earliest times, perform each year the new rice ceremony, Alutsal Mangalya, in front of the sacred Bodhi tree, before commencing their cultivation activities according to age-old practices. The offering of milk rice as a mark of respect to the brotherhood of monks, with the sacred Bodhi tree foremost, utilizing the new rice yielded by their harvest, is described by cultivators as the ceremony of the new harvest, Navasasya Mangalya. They bring out the colossal bowl made in the days of kings and kept within the shrine and fill it with new rice until it brims over, just as their hearts brim over with joy and happiness. This is for the great brotherhood of monks. The bowl of oil kept in the stone-paved courtyard built in the days of King Bodhi I brims over with the oil offered to light lamps for the Buddha. The devotees perform the ritual of bringing bundles of firewood, especially on allocated day, to record the ancient custom of fetching firewood from the forest nearby to light bonfires around the sacred precincts to protect the sacred Bodhi tree from the wild elephants who came there to eat the tender leaves of even the Bodhi tree in the days when Anuradapura had been deserted. Later on, this ritual came to be performed on the full moon day of Nikini. This ritual is held annually. Even today, on that day, devotees come in procession carrying bundles of firewood. This became the firewood bundle procession. Since this full moon day is associated with the astral moment of Kartikeya, the ancient characterized it as Kartikeya festival as well. The anointing ceremony, which has arisen as a synthesis of the rites and rituals of Sinhala Buddhist, Hindu, Mahayana and Hinayana traditions, takes place along with New Year ceremonies. This too is a special ritual. In accordance with the ancient tradition, today too, vessels containing water taken from Thisaveva or Thissa reservoir near Isramunia are taken in procession to the upper courtyard. Those who believe in god cults consider this as the water cutting ceremony. The members of the 18 clans decorated the area around the sacred Bodhi tree with flags, banners, and pennants, as had been assigned to them. Next, they bathed the sacred Bodhi tree with the water brought from Thisaveva. At this stage, the Great Brotherhood of Bhikkhus inaugurated the 16 great offerings to the Buddha. In the meantime, the chief official, Maha, of the clans responsible for guarding the sacred Bodhi tree and other groups in charge of the services start taking out ritual objects from inside the shrine where they had been kept. This is similar to the ritual of carrying the sacred objects associated with temples of gods. The ornaments of gods are taken in a palanquin. The objects taken for the Buddha are carried on the head. At this stage, the Great Brotherhood of monks drapes a curtain around the gold railing to cover the sacred Bodhi tree. The curtain is brought in procession by devotees. The ornaments brought along respectfully by the chief official and other officials are taken to the upper courtyard and are offered to the Great Brotherhood of monks, led by the chief prelate of the 8 sacred sites. The monks offer their respect to the sacred Bodhi tree that represents the supremely enlightened Buddha by worshipping the sacred Bodhi tree. With permission obtained that way, the monks proceed to drape the sacred Bodhi tree. The ritual of offering robes to the statues of the Buddha and draping the statues with robes is still followed by the monarchs of such countries as Thailand. These robes are made to suit seasonal changes that bring on cold, heat, and temperature conditions. According to the Theravada concept, the offering of such items as fold cloth, crowns, belts, arm ornaments, ear ornaments, necklaces, etc. is symbolic of offering one's kingdom to the sacred Bodhi tree that symbolized Buddha, who is addressed as our Supreme Buddha. According to Mahayana thought, it is an honor to treat the Buddha like a monarch. This could be considered as a concept adapted from Hindu culture. The ceremony of adoring the Bodhi tree with ornaments is associated with the Poya day that dawns in the astral moment of Visa before the Vesak full moon day occurs. A similar ceremony of anointment is held for the sacred tooth relic too. History records that the sacred tooth relic was sent to Sri Lanka by King Guhasiva of Kalinga, the protector of the sacred tooth relic, who wanted to prevent enemies getting at it. The sacred tooth relic was sent to his friend King Maha of Sri Lanka through his daughter Hema Mala and his son-in-law Prince Danta. Princess Hemamala, disguised as Brahmin priest traveling to Sri Lanka with Prince Damta, concealed the sacred tooth relic in her hair. They went to Nakhon Si Thammarama city in Siam, a modern Thailand. It is believed that they came to Sri Lanka from there. When this couple came to Mahamegagiri Vihara in Mahameuna Garden, King Mahasen had passed away. His son, Kirtisri Meghavanna, who was the ruler at that time, accepted the sacred tooth relic and took it along the Abhayagiri monastery. Recalling this ritual, each year a procession travels from the sacred Bodhi tree to Abhayagiri monastery. All this implies that the sacred Bodhi tree, the oldest historical tree of the world, which symbolizes the Supreme Buddha, is being provided honor, devotion, and protection at the highest level. When the right branch of the sacred Bodhi tree arrived in Dhamalitta, Emperor Asoka offered his kingdom to the sacred Bodhi tree thrice. When the sacred Bodhi tree arrived in Sri Lanka, King Devanampiyatissa offered his kingdom to the sacred Bodhi tree. Once again, he offered his kingdom to the sacred Bodhi tree when he planted it. The gateways to the precincts of the sacred Bodhi tree, the stone walls around it, and its great five-fold terraces, its iron fence, and its gold railing were all created to provide protection to the sacred Bodhi tree. A second gold railing to bless the goal of seeing the masses of this country living in peace and harmony and togetherness was initiated according to a concept of Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, through the generous assistance of the people of Sri Lanka and other philanthropists. The participants in the ceremony were the chief incumbents and the chief prelate of the 8 sacred sites, Venerable Pallegama Siri Srinivasa Mahanayakathera, the chief prelate of the North and Northwestern provinces, Honorable W.J.M. Lokubandara, Minister of Justice, Legal Reform and Buddhist Affairs, and Mr. K.H.J. Vijayadasa, Advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister on Sustainable Development, and the Honorable President of the Gold Railing Fund. The Asvatha tree, symbolizing enlightenment because the Buddha attained supreme enlightenment under it, is described as the Lord Buddha in the upper courtyard by adoring Buddhists everywhere in the world. The sacred Bodhi tree is an esteemed relic of pride to the Buddhist world. It is a pleasing sight. It is a jeweled beacon, illuminating the path to Nibbana. May you, the sacred Bodhi tree, flourish until the end of Aeon.